Hey, Hope Community Church. I have with me here today Rod and Mayra Fry, and we're going to hear a little bit from them. We're going to start by me just asking them to introduce themselves. So, Rod and Mayra, I got your names, but how about you tell us a little bit about who you guys are and what you're doing?
All right. Well, I actually grew up in Elizabethtown and have been in Mexico now for 25 years. And one of the first things I did was meet this beautiful young lady. And so we were married in Mexico City in '95 and have three kids. Basically, well, our kids are all up in Elizabethtown now, but we've been involved with church planning here in Mexico City and the Mexico City metro area, well, pretty much ever since then. And so it's been our privilege to see a number of churches planted here, and to have a number of groups from Hope Community down visiting us. And I guess it was good that we didn't plan a group this summer, and that was providential maybe. But last summer, there was a group that came down and visited us, and Kirk and Valerie were going to come down this year, but not sure what's going to happen now. But we really appreciate knowing and many of you, and appreciate very much your support.
Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit here about the effects of the coronavirus. How about you share with us how it's impacting you personally, as well as how it's affecting the ministry there? Maybe you can even talk a little bit about the community and what you're seeing about even how the country is responding, all those kinds of things.
Sure. Well, it's interesting. The U.S. has had over 6 million coronavirus testings. Mexico has had 67,000. So that's like 1%. So it's hard really to know what's going on here in that regard. I just read today that there's a 9.2% mortality rate, but of course, if you're only testing people who are obviously sick, that's probably a lot higher than it actually is. Our last normal Sunday was March 15th. We actually that Sunday took 25 young people to a youth event on Sunday, where there were over 100 kids
to another church.
To another church. Yeah. So we've been doing online services ever since March 22nd, I guess. Mm-hmm. And probably similar to your reality in that regard, ministry-wise, just doing a lot of Zoom sort of meetings, YouTube Live, trying to send the youth group occasional Bible studies and links, but it's been different. It's been encouraging. The three churches here in Ixtapaluca, each one have kind of done their own thing. The other two churches are using more Facebook Live than we are. But here in Mexico, really, you have an informal economy and a formal economy. And the formal economy, the malls and movie theaters, churches, museums, restaurants, they're pretty much all shut down. And many of the restaurants just offer takeout. But the informal economy, the open markets, the people opening the front of their house for a little restaurant, and all of that has almost remained unchanged. The metro course here, some of the metro has been shut down, a number of the stations, but a lot of it hasn't. Vehicle restrictions, we all the time, normally vehicles that are over 10 years old, we can't drive 1 day a week and 2 Saturdays a month. Well, now that restrictions has been placed to all vehicles. So in our case, we can't drive at all on Mondays. And then we have to figure out what Saturday it is to determine which vehicle we can drive. But so there's been, everybody has to wear, I guess, face masks in public now. To go into Walmart, you can only have one person of the family go into Walmart. So I imagine some of the restrictions are similar as you are living there, and you are just constantly bombarded with, on television, radio saying, stay at home, stay at home. So it seems like we're about a week or two behind where you are in the U.S., but we do not know of anybody who has the virus or anything. So probably similar in that sense.
Talk a little bit about your family and how your family's doing in this time. Maybe even Maida, you could tell us a little bit about how things are going with your mom and sister.
Well, my mom and my sister live together. A little bit more than a year ago, my dad passed away. So it's only my mother and my sister living together. My sister is on a wheelchair. She has rheumatoid arthritis, and my mother is 73 years old. And so, they both need help. But praise the Lord, they are doing pretty good. They both are Christians. Their faith is very strong in the Lord, and that's something that really keeps them doing pretty good. A couple months ago, my mom was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Is that how you say it?
Fibromyalgia.
Myopia?
Fibromyalgia.
Myalgia.
Anyway, fibromyalgia. But people from their church told us about this doctor. Can you say that?
I don't know how you say that.
Okay, well, very good doctor. I'm just gonna say that this doctor, we went to visit him, and he said, no, she doesn't have that. She's gonna be okay. We just have to treat some of her organs like kidneys, liver. They have to be depurados.
Yeah, but working on cleansing some of her diet and working on.
And that's what he's doing, and we can see a difference in my mom. Like she was like walking like a 100-year-old lady. She was hardly moving. She had so much pain, and we were very concerned. But now we see a difference. She's moving more. She doesn't have the pain she used to have. So we are very encouraged by what we see. So praise the Lord. We try to go there every other week and stay there for a couple days and help them out, like try to get groceries for them and things like that. And then we come back here and we stay here, a week or more, and then we go back, and that's how we are trying to help.
Fantastic. Excellent. And your kids that are living here in the States doing well, and I'm sure it's difficult for you being in Mexico and
Yes, it is. It is difficult. Time to pray. I'm in my knees often, like a lot, like just trusting God that, like, I know He's right there with them, and I know He has plans for them, and I know He reveals Himself to them and protects them too, So it is hard because I want to see them. Obviously, I would love to hug them and kiss them and everything, but at the same time, I know this is the time for them to grow personally and in their faith. And that's probably, it's been a time for that, away from mom and dad, but figuring things out, right? With God's help. Grandpa and grandma are not too far away from them, and they are such a blessing, mom and dad. And we thank them so much for their wonderful love to our kids. And so it's hard, but at the same time, it's a time for us to trust God with that.
David, our youngest, will fairly frequently send pictures of these big bass that he's catching. And then, Greg, if you're listening, so appreciate you putting all those trout pictures on Facebook. And so, I'm just envious in a good and bad way, probably. But anyway, it's, there's things that we'd love to be, obviously, with our kids now. We were actually going to come up to Pennsylvania and Ohio on Friday. We had a missions conference in Ohio, and we were going to spend a couple days with the family, but that, of course, was canceled. So, there's been so many plans that, you just roll with them, right? And so that's where we're at.
Well, Rod and Maida, it's so good to see you guys and to get this update. We'll continue to, as a church, stay in touch with you and look forward to doing this again sometime soon.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Hugs to everybody.